Alrighty, welcome back to Sharpen Ball. I am Aaron Chow, accompanied by my co-host John Harris, as always, and we are finally at the cusp. It is finally here, week 1 of the NFL season, and we're here to make our picks against the spread and also quote-unquote bets, because once again, we're not betting actual money, but just interesting aspect to do so, to show sometimes how strongly we believe that this team will beat the spread and or just beat the other team as well. Anyhow, we're gonna dive into things. Obviously, we're gonna go with Thursday, and then there's a Friday night game, and then we usually start with the games noon, afternoon, and then Sunday, Monday, and then also to clear up things for those that may not know. For the betting, we technically get 1,600 each week. You don't carry over to next week, so you can use it all that week. Typically you can spread it out. You can do whatever you want. We'll obviously kind of announce how much we're putting down and such for each game. So, and then spread-wise, don't know how spread works. Once again, so for example, very first game, Kansas City's favored by 2.5. By the way, I put all these at halves because I'm not dealing with tiebreakers. So basically, Kansas City has, if you pick Kansas City, in theory, to beat the spread, then they have to win by 3 points or more. If they win by 2 or less, technically Baltimore beats the spread, and then obviously if Baltimore wins, that doesn't matter. They still beat the spread. So anyhow, I feel like I explained that well in a nutshell. So let's dive into that first game, the kickoff game, John. So it's at Kansas City, of course. Like I said, favored by 2.5, hosting the Baltimore Ravens. Rematch of the AFC Championship last playoffs. So what are your thoughts here? And who you betting on and who you picking?
All right, I am going to put 100 on the Kansas City Chiefs to cover. All they got to do is win by a field goal. I feel confident they can do that, especially at home, opening game. I don't know. Ultimately, I just think that Kansas City's better. I think when it comes to trying to stop each other, that Kansas City has the recipe to be able to overcome what Baltimore might want to try and do against them. I saw a clip of some reporters asking Roquan Smith, how do you stop Kansas City? And he said, stop the run and make them one-dimensional. I feel like that's a little tough when they still have Patrick Mahomes on the other side. So, ultimately, I think that, Kansas City's just going to come out on top. I still think that Baltimore can make this close. And I won't lie, I could see a world where Baltimore does win the game. We saw last year Kansas City lost the opening game to the Detroit Lions. Now, in that game, they didn't have Travis Kelce or Chris Jones. So, luckily for them, this time, they do. Then I think they're already officially without Hollywood Brown. I don't know if there's any other notable injuries as of right now. I feel confident in Kansas City here.
Pulling up the injury report. But while I'm filibustering and pulling up the injury report, I'm also agreeing with you. I'm picking Kansas City as well, only putting 100 just because Baltimore's pretty good too. But my main concerns are, like we alluded to in the kind of season overview for Baltimore. Don't know how well that reshuffled interior O-line is going to be, or even also I believe they're starting someone else at right tackle. I forget, but regardless, they had Simpson, Moses, they're out on the right side, and then obviously losing Zeitler as well as a very good guard, a very experienced veteran guard as well. That's a tough loss, and especially going up against Kansas City, Spags is very good at having creative blitzes, and that's just it's just hard to know what to expect and what rules he will be stressing. Come week 1, you don't really have any prior film to that if you're Baltimore, and especially these probably young and experienced pieces they're putting in. So that scares me. And then on the flip side as well, like defensively as well, Baltimore's lost some tough pieces on the edge. And it's tough to know what to expect from Kansas City. Even last year, you mentioned that Detroit game, like the offense had opportunities to move the ball. It's just the receivers that couldn't catch the ball. I'm sure that they're going to have a better game plan, be more well prepared, and execute better come this week 1. And like you mentioned, especially with Kelce being there, will obviously help along with some of the